Benny Johnson has this tweet. Breaking: Hakeem Jeffries just called for violence against against President Trump's agenda, pushing for fighting in the streets. We are going to fight legislatively, or we are going to fight it in the courts, and we're going to fight it in the streets. Let's listen.
We are going to fight it legislatively. We are going to fight it in the courts, and we're going to fight it in the streets. We are going to fight it.
So I don't think that there's any ambiguity in that. Like there's nothing ambiguous about that. And if it were, again, this is the intended double standard, but if it were any Republican saying that, the reaction would be, absolute. They would be apoplectic.
They criticized fight after he was almost assassinated.
Yeah, and trying to make it as if Trump wasn't the victim of the attack. Yeah, but the victim, Trump was looking to victimize people, and yet here's the Democrats. Hakeem Jeffries, who I don't think he's the leader of the House Democrats. I'm not sure.
Was it you that were saying you think he's considered the future of the party?
No, that's Ricky Torres.
Ricky
Torres, who's significantly more moderate than him. At least in he gets away from the whole woke stuff. So.
I mean, we see this how often does Maxine Waters speak where she says something that's inflammatory?
Every time.
Literally every time she opens her mouth. And that's the back and forth you have to be willing to have with people whenever they want to call out what they consider to be political violence or political posturing, is that they consider it to be political violence from one side, but from the other side it's to be taken as some type of avant-garde, off-the-cuff response that doesn't actually mean what you think it means. They're telling you to not believe what you see with your own lying eyes.
Yeah, and Hakeem Jeffries is the leader of he's the minority leader of the House of Representatives. So, he's in a position of authority.
Was he taking questions there?
I don't know.
It would be interesting to know if somebody there, if there was a journalist who actually wanted to ask a question, like, sir, could you quantify what you mean by, I get what you say legislatively. I get what you're saying. What do you mean by fight it in the streets?
Yeah, I honestly, I wish that I were influential enough where I could make phone calls to other outlets and be other news outlets and be like, hey, hold these Democrats' feet to the fire. This kind of rhetoric. If the right doesn't push on it, right, and doesn't try to bring the same kind of consequences on the left as would be brought on the right. And if we don't make a stink about it, then it's going to continue. I mean, I would love to hear Donald Trump, make a statement about this.
What did you mean by this?
Yeah, what exactly do you mean by this? Because, as the minority leader of the House of Representatives, you're the top dog for the Democrats in the House. And granted, the House is kind of where the clown show happens, right? The Senate's kind of is more the serious body, and the House, you get people doing a little more wacky stuff.
Hey, they're both clown shows.
It's the government.
Okay, the Senate thinks of themselves as the serious ones, whereas the House doesn't think of themselves as so serious because
they're like Cirque du Soleil.
Fair enough.
They're like a sophisticated clown show.
Yeah, right. Yeah, but I do think that it would be worth, having the right push on these things, because until it's made clear that this is unacceptable, you're only going to get more of it.
I would say at some point, though, someone needs to take the high road, and I totally call out the double standard here, because Trump definitely said fight after, and people in the media tried to misinterpret that. I just really think at some point it'd be really good to see one side go, this is we don't want to play the game you're playing. So this is obviously just rhetoric. What can you do the same for us?
Republicans do that all the time, and it never works.
Yeah, I think that not looking to the DOJ to bring charges is actually taking the high road, because that's the kind of response that you get from the Democrats. They go straight to lawfare. Anything, honestly, at this point, anything that the Republicans do that is short of actually using the levers of government power to attack their political opponents is the measured response.
There's someone who's, again, just not really talk about politics that lot. If I would see Republicans going on about this, in my home, I just start rolling my eyes like, just get to work. I don't care what they said. Like, just get back to getting stuff done. Because at the end of the day, the Republicans and the Democrats are trying to earn the vote of the American people. So I hope the Republicans just sort of look at this and go, okay, clowns, whatever, that's how we think of them, but let's get back to working. And that will impress average Americans far more.
I think that speaks to the difference, the difference between people on the right and people on the left in the U.S. today, the conservatives and progressives. And I think I said this earlier, but I don't believe in the blank slate. Right? I don't believe that people are only created by the conditions that they live in. I completely reject that idea. I believe that people have a temperament, people have emotional reactions that are going to be different from one person to another. I think that your political bent is largely a result of your temperament and stuff. And I think that Jonathan Haidt's work, I think it's called The Righteous Mind is the book.
Righteous Mind, yeah.
Righteous Mind is the book that he did, and the different personality traits that he sees in the left, care versus harm, justice versus care, or I forget what they were, but the point that I'm making is the people that are conservatives, they're going to agree with you, and they're going to say, get to work. And that's why, or part of why, Republicans and conservatives don't do that kind of stuff and attack this stuff so viciously, because it would actually turn off their base. Whereas when it comes to Democrats and the progressives, they really do. They actually believe these things. Like I do think a good percentage of the Democrats believe Trump's a fascist. Even you could show them evidence, you can show them all the evidence you want, but in their heart, they believe that he would do the things that Hitler would do if he was given the chance. They believe it totally, and I see it. You see it regularly with the Democrat kind of operatives on X. There are some that obviously are doing it just for money, but there are a handful that they're buying it. They believe everything they're saying. And there's a couple that come to mind that I'm not going to name because I don't want to promote them. But
also, ignore the politicians for a second. If the media was doing its job, like we don't, like people who are politically motivated, people who are either in government or the ones that are already politically partisan, meaning those who are already considered a Republican or a Democrat. Sure, fine. Maybe the Republicans shouldn't be, in the eyes of some Republicans, they shouldn't be wasting their time going after something that they believe to be just something that was misspoken, right? But it's the media's job, and unbiased media should be doing their job to at least ask this guy, what did you mean by that? And one thing this country could do if they wanted to actually heal the divide a little bit is if both sides of the aisle, if we were in a world where there wasn't as politically partisan of a news networks as we have now, is if MSNBC was willing to ask him a question, what did you mean by that, and then print his answer, or CNN ask him a question like that and print his answer. And if both sides did that to their own parties and held them accountable, it is possible that you wouldn't see the divide in the way where now anytime somebody cites an article for something in the news, if it's pro-Trump, they say, well, that was just from Fox News. That was from Newsmax. I disregard it because your news is biased and it doesn't matter, right? If CNN asked a couple of questions of people that were Democrats, it might engage people to start asking those questions from both sides and get people a little bit more in the middle, but they're not going to do that.
Yeah, I think that there's a lot of substance to what you're saying, and I think that I wish that you could see, or you would see, outlets like MSNBC and CNN. I think it's possible with CNN. I don't think it's possible with MSNBC. MSNBC has picked their lane. Too
far gone.
Yeah, well, they picked their lane. Like they may not have a huge viewership, but they have a viewership that they have to cater to, and I don't think they're going to change that.
I have seen plenty of far left people on X who call CNN a pro-Trump network.
Yeah,
that's an actual, and it's because it's owned by David. It's run by David Zaslav, right over there at Warner Brothers, Warner Brothers Discovery, and they really hate him. He's kind of the Trump of the media world. They really, really despise him. So there are definitely people that actually believe that CNN is somehow a pro-Trump network.
Thanks for checking out this clip from Timcast IRL. Make sure to watch the show live Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. Subscribe to this channel, and we will see you all there.